I guess we're going.
Hi. Didn't see you guys there. Hey, we're back. We're here.
Yep.
New format, as you can see.
Yeah, slightly different setup on the cameras. Hi to the cameras.
We look a little weird on this one. It's a webcam, and we're both on the periphery, so we bend a little bit.
We do. It's almost like fisheye, but
I look a little thinner in that one. So let's use.
I think like that's the shot of like, oh, there's someone at the door. Let's go through the peephole. Look at those guys. They're gonna rob us. And then I don't know if this camera's gonna be used or not. Hi to the security camera.
Yep, that's our backup.
Backup. That used to be our primary backup.
Correct. So yes, we're back. It's been a little while.
Yeah.
Between the doldrums of winter.
Yeah.
Reformatting the podcast, various illnesses, and travel.
And Christmas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All that stuff. So yeah, we had a kind of a busy couple of months.
Yep.
And then just a massive case of the I don't wannas.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
When it gets dark at 5 o'clock, you just don't want to do much.
I really want to do that today. Yeah.
But we're back. We don't know what our release schedule is going to be yet. We're aiming for 2 times a month.
Yeah. Much longer show, more of a podcast. We're hoping that this can work as an audio podcast as well as a full-length Chatty McChatterson video.
Yeah.
And then I guess, this is also the ramp up to potentially going live one day. If we can make this work in this format, then live streams.
Yeah, live will be great.
Yeah.
Before we roll the intro, we do have some unfinished business from when we were doing our season format previously.
True.
If you at home were following along, we played some games. I did horribly.
Season 2 was all me.
And it was, I think you got a point.
I think I got the 1 point of Season 2.
And you see what's just behind me.
I do.
Over my shoulder.
Yes.
So it is time. I don't know if we're going to continue doing this or not.
Yeah.
But to present you the trophy of excellence.
Ah.
And the helmet of shame.
Yes.
I'm not going to put it on.
No, you look like you've recently brushed your hair. Don't put the helmet of shame on. Oh, I have not seen this trophy up close in a little while.
Yeah, you made it.
I did. And then I had to immediately lose it.
Yeah.
As is, terrible.
Just absolutely
Might just keep that there for now.
Yeah, keep it on the table.
I've earned this. I've earned the right.
Absolutely.
It's going to hang out with me today.
It can hang out with you the whole time.
It could until you earn it back.
Really, we should have had this set up the whole time and just done that.
Yeah. Smart eventually.
Yeah.
Just not immediately.
No. Well, because if you were watching before, we were doing like a season format, trying to make it more like a TV show where we were trapped in our 90s basement.
Yeah.
Now we're like, we were shuffling all these ideas. Hey, you saw some of them. We wanted to do the Babbling on About 5.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk more about
arcade.
retro gaming.
Yep.
We also want to do a Simpsons-themed podcast. We're going to have segments for you specifically for The Simpsons.
We have been dying to do Simpsons content and not sure how to do it. Now we're just going to bundle it in the hour-ish format.
Yep.
It's going to show up every couple episodes.
Every podcast you watch, other than our old one, had segments. And it just made a lot of sense when you have lots of interests.
Right.
Divvy them up into segments.
Yeah.
And then you can even take those segments and clip them out and make separate videos.
Separate videos for people who just want to watch.
Right.
So, for those of you who are enjoying Babbling on About 5, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for coming along with that journey. Tim is also a fan.
I am.
And now it's going to be part of the show. It's actually going to be in the episode later today.
We're going to babble on About 5
We are.
minutes from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So I guess with no further ado, let's roll credits!
Rolling. I hope they're rolling.
I used to be with it. Then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
All right, and we're back.
We are back from credits.
From credits.
And now we're going to have another stinger for you because that's something we both worked on.
We made stingers during the break. So this is bringing back one of our first segments, possibly our first segment.
Yeah.
Which is Big Screen Blind Spots. Roll the stinger!
Stop telling me it had a blind spot. I could have been killed. Now, Biff, I never noticed that the car had any blind spot before when I was driving.
All right.
Okay, big screen blind spots. Let's go ahead and say we're still playing for points. Same old format.
Same old format. We'll see how often we score.
Yeah.
Like, we'll have maybe we'll get to a tiebreaker. And play for all the points when there's a good tiebreaker moment.
Yeah, we could set the cameras up and we could get Risk.
I was going to say Battleship. It's a lot shorter than Risk.
Play it for like 8 hours. See how many people stay on.
No one. No. That'll be our first live stream. We'll play Risk.
Battleship sounds better.
Battleship does sound better. Plus we get to go, Battleship!
shit.
All right. So I'm going to break tradition, and I'm not going to tell you the through line in these movies.
Okay.
You're going to tell it to me.
Oh, interesting.
All right. So in maybe I'll do, if I can remember, release order. It's gonna be close. All right.
Were you fully prepared for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fully prepared.
Yeah. It shows.
Film number 1.
True Lies, 1994's hit classic. One of my favorite movies, possibly my second favorite. No. Fourth favorite. But it's non-sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yep.
Is this Species 2?
Species 2.
I recently watched Species 1.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't seen Species 2 in a minute. But I'm already guessing the through line.
What's the through line?
Well, let's just keep going.
Okay.
It just wouldn't be our style.
Yeah. All filmed in our area, or scenes that take place in the greater Baltimore, Washington,
Yeah.
D.C. area. Red Dragon. I saw this once, and it was
Find out if you're smarter than the person I'm looking for.
You don't get... Social Network.
Social Network.
That had filming here? I guess DC? Okay. Are we going to stand these up? Or are we gonna...
Yeah, we can stand them up now.
Okay.
For the ladies and gentlemen at home.
Alrighty. True Lies. Species 2. The Replacements, which I've only seen one time. Didn't that star... Was Hackman in that?
That was what made my decision. Well, I had 3 big screen blind spots ready to roll. And then when I was going through the list, I was like, So as we're filming today, Gene Hackman was found dead this week.
Yeah, like a few days ago.
And it sounds like he's maybe had been deceased for about a week.
And before an infamous list was going to be released.
Yeah.
Conspiracies,
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see where the news... By the time this episode comes out, we might know a lot more about what happened to Mr.
Yeah,
Hackman.
but really freaky. He was dead for 10 days?
Ted for dead, yeah, totally.
Dead for 10 days, his wife.
You have gleaned the format.
Maryland.
Maryland.
Hey, you have a Maryland flag?
I do. Here, take that corner. So,
we have the ugliest state flag in the entire Union. Wouldn't you say?
I would literally go the other superlative and say we have the coolest flag in the entire Union.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Most of them are super lame.
Yeah.
At least ours. Now, for you novices, you think they're identical, but the bottom corner of the Maryland flag has yellow. The top corner has black. And that is how you know how to hang the Maryland flag correctly.
I learned something today.
I'm glad.
I don't know how much longer I can hold this.
Well, this isn't Old Glory. We can be disrespectful.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Take that.
And I also
Maryland.
just, for ease of...
I'm not going to open it and sniff it.
Yeah.
But I totally want to open and sniff it, but then I'll sneeze. But I'm
I'm not going to open and sniff it. Name of your sex tape.
I'm horrible at this. When can we stop?
I'm horrible at this. When can we stop?
I know. Title of my sex tape.
Yes.
We'll see if that gets cut.
No, we're just rolling with it. Hey,
right.
There's going to be Christian stuff in here, too. So just
Promises.
sit tight.
That was a Brooklyn Nine-Nine
Yeah.
gag. It was like that's what she said. So if you didn't have
Yes.
it, we say that to each other often. And then I also had wooden cutout crabs.
Oh.
That I was going to put the pose, but I couldn't find them. Like, they weren't with the flag and the Old Bay. Like, I don't know.
That's weird. We have a Maryland store in our nearby
I'm aware.
mall.
Yeah.
We have a mall in our town, and it's been dying for the last 20 years.
But it also has the coolest used toy store in existence.
Yes.
And it has like a tabletop role playing game store. It's like secretly super nerdy.
Yeah, it's actually really cool.
Yeah.
And I, being over the age of 40, go there, especially during the winter, to walk with the elderly people.
Yeah, I've done the walk there a lot.
Yeah, it gets too cold
My son did
outside.
Taekwondo there, so I did the walk while he did.
TKD is a cool
TKD.
thing to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got a game that we're playing, and we're just rambling on.
So, for the ladies and gentlemen at home, and for a reminder for you, the categories for big screen blind spots are: I watch it religiously. I've never seen it. I saw it in theaters. I think it's over or underrated, and I saw it shockingly late in life.
Yes. Okay. So let's go. Obviously, we saw True Lies in theaters, but we also saw, I think, Species 2 in theaters because our friend lived across the street from where they filmed the breakout scene.
Right. So I actually watched that movie being filmed.
Yes.
So they used the Laurel, Maryland waste management treatment plant.
It's not didn't quite make the map.
Yeah, it didn't quite make the map, but it was in West Laurel.
Yes.
And they used that as the government facility out of which Natasha Henstridge's alien character escaped. They also used Columbia, Maryland, where you and I both rented at one point. Not together, but we both separately.
We rented Columbia, Maryland?
We rented within.
The whole
yeah, you can afford that. So Columbia is a planned community that forbids street signs.
Oh, yes.
So they put up street signs for the Humvee chase, and the residents of Columbia lost their minds because someone put up street signs in a town where you can't put up street signs. And they're up for like, I don't know, 48 or 72 hours, and...
Columbia, land of the autists.
They're super chill there, and if there's one thing I would say about Columbia, laid back.
Yeah, totally laid back. Mm-hmm. I lived in Columbia for a very brief time.
Yeah, that was the place you rented kind of back behind Home Depot, like, I forget, that's not Home Depot, you were like right between Columbia and
I was near the Snowden Center, and so if you go
that is what Home Depot is. See, my brain got there.
If you go down the street, you're in Laurel again, our hometown.
Right, and I rented in a similar part of Columbia that was a little detached. Like there's that back road that would get there.
Yeah. It's a nice place to go get food.
Yeah, I appreciated living in a community with hiking paths.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Until they turned into stabbing paths, but that's a story for another day.
Another time. Yep.
Anyway,
so Columbia. So
so let's go with this. I'm gonna say that these are my pick for either saw it late in life or over/underrated.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with this one for religiously because yes, I watched this.
I mean,
it's a great...
Not to put the cart before the horse, but it's hard to put it together 5 without having one glaringly obvious.
For sure.
And that one is glaringly obvious. Of course I watch True Lies religiously. The rest I'm not going to spoil. You have 4 to sort otherwise. But True Lies obviously.
This is watch religiously. Species 2 is going to be saw in theaters.
Okay.
This is going to be have never seen it.
Okay.
And now we're down to these 2. I'm going to say that this you think is overrated, The Social Network, because it gets lots of praise. It is a good movie, but yeah, there's a whole lot of hype for it. And it's Fincher, so you know it's going to be at least solidly made.
Yeah.
But it's
I'm following your logic.
Nothing to write home about. I was actually thinking about this movie because of all... as we've come back, the landscape has changed completely.
Yeah, we went to bed in 2024 and woke up in 2025, and it's a different world.
It is a different than where you come from.
Yeah.
But,
here's a chance to make it. We focus on our goals. You can...
Whitney! Is it Whitney or Whitley?
Oh, shoot.
I forget. It's been a long time since I've seen that show. But Ron, the drummer guy, great show.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that would make Red Dragon shockingly late in life. How have I performed?
1 out of 5.
Perfect.
Yeah, you're killing it. So that's a 0 point for you.
That's nothing. A goose egg.
Yeah, a goose egg.
I'm continuing. Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm very happy for you. Okay.
Let's hear it.
You saw Species 2 in theater. It was rated R, and I was 14 or 15 when it was filmed. I did not see that in theater.
Oh.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Never. Technically, I saw it because I was on set watching it being filmed, but I've never seen the movie.
Yeah, Species 1 is a 8.5, 9 out of 10 classic. It's a little adult.
Yeah.
But
considering how she does what she does, yeah.
But it's a fantastic movie.
And it comes back full circle to us talking about Forrest Whitaker again. Who was, I think that was the first movie I ever saw him in.
Okay, yeah. And so the 4K came out recently, and it's a perfect transfer. It looks beautiful, and you can borrow it if you'd like. Yeah. But so I have watched the first one. But yeah, I saw Species 2.
You would have been a senior in high school when it was filmed.
Yeah,
I was a freshman. I did not get to see that one in theater, so
I intend to watch it just because it brings her back, and I think a couple other people from the first
I don't remember
movie.
who survived the first movie. It's been long enough.
And then from there, it just goes down the B movie thing.
I think eventually they don't even have. I think it was straight to video, and they didn't even have Natasha. I think they had some other blonde bombshell of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah. But I remember Species 2 being a disappointment because of how good the first one was.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm not disappointed because I got to see the movie being filmed in my neighborhood, or near my neighborhood.
Yeah.
My stomping grounds.
Yeah, our friends who...
Literally less than a quarter mile from the MacIver's house.
Yeah, so we had 3 friends who lived in this West Laurel neighborhood.
Yeah.
One, like, maybe half a mile from each other, the other one another mile between. And, we could just traverse.
Yeah, it's a little triangle that we would hike or bike constantly.
Yeah, or later drive.
Yeah.
Which seemed kind of lazy considering how close we all were, but whatever.
Lazy teenagers? No.
Okay, so what's
that was never. Shockingly late in life was The Replacements.
Okay.
And I have an anecdote for why I've actually seen it. So I owned a small business for a handful of years that I recently got rid of. One of our employees is in that movie.
Really?
He was in the picket line of football players that were on strike. I guess the whole premise of the movie is that football players are on strike, so they bring in this replacement. So
Scabs,
he's one of the
whatever.
Scabs. So he's one of the picket line guys. So he told me he was in the movie. It's like, well, now I have to see the movie. So I saw
actually
it.
a good movie.
It is a good movie. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And my friend Wayne, my former employee, is
Shout out Wayne.
Hey Wayne, is in that film.
I don't know you, Wayne, by the way, but or maybe I've met you. I don't know.
You may have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he worked there, so he was a bit of, and he was a regular before he worked there, so he may have.
Oh, if he worked there, I wouldn't have spoken to him.
No,
let's speak to you.
Yeah, speak to me, and then you tell them not to make eye contact with you. Keep
That's
your,
right.
Yeah. Eye sound at all times.
Don't look at me. No. Don't look at me in the eyes.
No, do not look Mr. Palmer in the eyes. All right, so that was Shockingly Late in Life. In theaters was The Social Network. Because I saw that when it came out, because at the time, big fan of that actor whose name I can't, Jesse something?
Yes. Yeah, Squid and the Whale.
Squid and the Whale was what I saw him in first. Which has another anecdote where...
Eisenberg?
It's something like that, yeah. Yeah, it's Eisenberg or something. Yeah, you have a phone where we're
we're
loosey-goosey now.
Yeah, we're not going with the... We're
Someone texted me in the middle of filming this, so cool. Whatever. So, yeah. Squid and the Whale is the first thing I saw him in. It was Noah Baumbach's first film, who was, I think, kind of the prodigy of Wes Anderson.
Yes.
So I'd
Very
heard
Wes Anderson-esque.
Yes. Kafka-esque, yeah. So I was actually at a wedding years and years ago before I was married, and the young lady who was in the Squid and the Whale was at the wedding as a guest, a relative of one of the groom, I think. Mm-hmm. And I utterly failed when I hit on her. I tried to get... I tried. But I was like, oh, I know her from a movie, and I quoted the movie at her, and she's like, oh my gosh, you've seen it? And then after that, that was the peak. Oh my gosh, you've seen it. And then all my sweaty charm just failed me from there on out. But hey. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, you had a shot, you took it.
Swing for the fences. Not even my type, but whatever.
Yeah, famous. Maybe,
ish.
Maybe you could.
I think she's become more like famous in theater since then.
Okay, but you could have gotten a job as a key grip or something.
I can hold a boom pole. I've done it. And then Red Dragon. I think it's underrated. Okay. It's kind of middling. It kind of like 60s, 70s.
Yeah, because it's in the Hannibal Lecter series.
Right, and granted, it is not the best of the Hannibal Lecter films.
This is the one with Ed Norton, right?
Ed Norton, yeah, and this was kind of like right before his career kind of went away.
Yeah, it was a really good movie. I think I liked it. I actually like it more than Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, which I like less than
Hannibal.
No, the other one, the old one.
Oh, when the other guy played Hannibal.
Yeah, when Brian Cox was Hannibal Lecter. I'm blanking.
I've actually never seen that one.
It's so good.
It's been on my list.
It's such a good movie. I mean, it's much more like just makes you sweat and worry.
I didn't like Hannibal because it had too much gross out stuff.
Hannibal was definitely gross.
Like feeding the guy his own brain.
Yeah. Was that Ray Liotta?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was gross. But Red Dragon was great, and had some spoofs that have come from the the tattoo. Like Venture Brothers spoofed it. I don't remember who else, but that's just a famous scene.
Yeah.
And of course, True Lies, as we spoiled at the very beginning, watch it all the time.
Yeah, I love this movie. I think did we see this? I remember there was that dinner theater. Not dinner theater.
The Bethesda Cinema Draft House.
That's the place. So it served
food. And if you were old enough, which we weren't, it served alcohol.
Yeah. This is a big deal in the 90s. There, obviously, there's the Alamo Draft House.
This format was not ubiquitous in the 90s. It's possible we saw it there because I know Dad would have wanted to see it, and on like the big tentpole ones, we would go there.
Yeah, because it was a lot of fun. Sit at a table, get nachos, pizza, whatever. Yeah,
it's good
fantastic.
Times.
Yeah, but I absolutely love this movie. A big fan of Cameron in general. I think he made...
I mean, I've said, I believe on this podcast that Aliens is my favorite movie. And
yeah, it's Cameron.
Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies.
I toggle between Terminator 1 and 2, which one I like more.
It's difficult.
One is a great, monster movie, basically, and then the other is a terrific action movie.
Right.
And so
one is sort of like in the vein of It Follows. I feel like it borrowed a lot from It Follows.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And Abyss, an underrated classic.
That's a great one.
Especially the director's cut.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Which came out in 4K recently.
It did. Actually, all of Cameron's movies are out in 4K except the Piranha 2, which is not technically a Cameron movie. There's the whole story behind that. That's how we jump from special effects guy to director.
Yeah.
but it was a producer. I know a lot of this because I, in our previous format, was going to prepare a James Cameron episode.
Oh, nice.
Because...
Yeah. He's so influential on our...
Well, growing up, we had 3 big directors. We had Lucas, we had Spielberg, and then in my mind, Cameron.
Yeah, I agree.
And
those are the exact 3. And then I feel like as we aged... I mean, of course, Scorsese was out when we were kids, but that was way over our heads. But yeah, as we grew up, some new guys came up, like Fincher, like Nolan, and we got kind of these guys that blurred the lines between action directors and drama directors.
Yes.
And, yeah, we got some really, really good... As have rambled and will continue to ramble about, we got a lot of really good movies while we were growing up.
But this would have been his 4th major film where he was the guy. We had Terminator,
Terminator 2, Aliens, Abyss.
And then True Lies.
I think that is the 4th.
Because after this was Titanic, and then only Avatar movies for the rest of his life.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I actually like the first one.
The first one was fine. The second one told me not to kill whales, so I stopped.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, finally. It was timely, because I had been killing some whales.
What did you do with your whale killing boat fleet?
I mean, it's just depreciating.
Dry dock.
Yeah. It's just...
But this is an absolutely excellent movie. It's funny... lots of adventure, lots of action, and a really good plot to husband and wife trying to reconnect with a bunch of spycraft.
Right, and they've done it again as like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
But then I guess both were spies. But yeah, it's sort of a double life, but still a good guy double life. Like
so many quotable things.
We quote it. I mean all the time.
All the time. Like if we like to play video games together, and if our controller batteries are all dying, I'll be like,
get another one, you moron. And then if we YOLO it in the game, I've said many times, I'm going to walk right out of the front gate.
That's right. Yeah. And I was actually, I have it queued up. I haven't played it yet. When I was doing the retro show, I have the True Lies game for Super Nintendo. Oh, and I was going to play that. It's a 3/4 overhead. Yeah. I remember it being difficult, but still lots of fun.
Didn't it also have the Harrier jet level?
I'd never made it that far because
I think it
difficulty.
did. I'm sure it did. I'm ready to be proven wrong with a cutaway if I'm wrong, but I think it did.
Okay. Yeah, but this is, of all the films up here, my absolute favorite of the list, and one of my favorite movies of all time.
In the list, it's probably the only one. I mean, maybe Red Dragon, maybe Replacements, but I mean, I'm not really going to rewatch Species 2 or Social Network.
Yeah, and I think we got True Lies the same year that we got Speed, which is another
fantastic action romance.
The last and possibly the greatest Die Hard on a...
Yes.
So this is Die Hard on a bus. So after Die Hard came out, it's Die Hard on a boat. It's Die Hard on a train.
Right. Die Hard on a bus that can't slow down. That has my favorite comeback of all time, which is I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than you. Yeah. Well, I'm taller. That and of course Shoot the Hostage.
Oh yeah. Pop quiz, hot
shot. If you say pop quiz, hot shot, or if anyone says pop quiz to me ever, I just say shoot the hostage. And people look at me like I'm crazy.
No, you have to shoot the hostage.
If someone pop quizzes, you shoot the hostage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I had to go to summer school twice.
Yes. Only twice. Impressive.
For maths.
Wow. Maths are hard.
They are.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this has been me failing once again at big screen blind spots.
This is going to look good here for a while.
And now we have a brand new segment for you.
Oh, goody.
This is something I like to call Problems with People.
Play the stinger!
George is getting upset. Oh, yes! That's what I should have said. You know, we're living in a society.
We're living in a society!
We're meant to behave in a civil way!
I'm going to talk to you about something that, a general subject we've talked about before, and that is restroom etiquette at work.
Okay.
So, one thing that really sucks about being in an office for 8 hours a day is sometimes you cannot time your BMs for home.
Dude, the amount of times where I'm looking at the clock in the morning, sitting on the commode, wishing.
Right.
Like, please, this is my throne, let it happen here.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I try. I get up very early. We live in
a
traffic-dense area.
Yeah.
We both commute 40-plus miles or
I'm 35.
minutes.
Oh, more than 40 minutes.
Yeah, maybe
35 miles.
I think I'm 38 miles. So 40-plus minutes. Anywho, you try to get it in the morning. If you can't, you can't. You don't want to have to go number 2 at work, but sometimes there's no choice.
Correct.
I suffer from crippling shame. And then also I get annoyed by really random things like George Costanza. I know, it's really strange, right? So I'm in there, I'm doing my business.
Sure.
Door opens, someone comes in, and proceeds to aggressively brush their teeth.
I was hoping you were going to go another lane
I know.
so that I could rant about the brushing of the teeth.
No, but of the disgusting things that can happen in the public bathroom.
Yeah.
I rank brushing the teeth at the top. There could be someone next to me blowing it up.
Yeah.
I would rather that happen because that's expected.
Right. That's what that room is
the area for that.
Yeah. So I would like to understand the thought process that my oral hygiene cannot possibly wait 3 more hours.
Yeah.
It must be done now, no matter what.
But I'm in the stall. Yeah. I'm done. I was ready to get out, but I can't make eye contact now because this person's in there brushing their teeth. Yeah. So
you wait.
I'm stuck.
You plant?
For like 5 to 7 minutes.
I also plant. Yeah. I refuse. Like, the last thing I want to do after defecating is eye contact.
Exactly.
With anyone.
Yeah. So below teeth brushing of the things that annoy would be someone talking to me.
So I have a theory about that. I think if you were in the military or if you were in team sports, you just talk to people in the bathroom.
Yeah.
We weren't.
No.
So we don't.
Right. And therefore no one should.
No one should.
Yeah, because we don't.
No.
So
also, this is the shame hole.
Right.
We're doing the shameful thing.
Yes.
There is no reason to be people. Like, have you seen a dog take a dump? Yeah. It makes a face. it knows that it's shameful.
Right. Yes.
So I don't look at the dog's face.
I
want to rephrase that. I don't look at the dog while it poops.
I have 100% watched my dog being really cute.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, come on in, and then turn to look at me and then start pooping. And it's like, well, now I'm just looking at you.
Yeah.
So do I stay? Do I go?
Yeah,
Anywho, I'm in here. I'm ready to leave. I can't. I hear, a satchel of some type being set down, unzip, something unfolding. Dude had I don't know. I can't see. I've got the door. I'm not peeking through.
But a grooming kit.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna take a while, isn't it? And he was brushing his teeth as if he were dying of something, and the only way to prevent it was to scrub it off with a toothbrush.
Did he do the full, tongue brush to gag? Did you hear a gag?
I did not, but here's the thing that makes me extremely frustrated about people brushing their teeth in this bathroom at my office, is our sink drain has, all the
little holes.
Small holes, and they don't drain great to begin with.
There are signs posted in places like that, like, don't dump your coffee out in here, don't... Yeah, this is not a sink for that.
So, there has been buildup in the sinks. So... the poor maintenance people have to come in and scrub that out.
Right.
And as someone who is aware of how the things that I can do or not do will affect other people, I am hyper aware of that and try to be as good a citizen as possible.
Right.
I make a spill, I wipe it up with paper towel. I drop something on the floor in the bathroom, I pick it up and put it in the trash can.
Right. So I want to, as an aside, Tim and I are not good people.
No.
We behave well because we know we want to not have that thing happen to us.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, we're so good, we don't do this. It's like, no, if someone did that to me, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah.
So I can't do it to you.
We would make excellent Japanese people.
Yes.
Because the thought of inconveniencing someone to me is extremely shameful.
It's anathema. Like, I can't even...
Yeah.
Like, I hate... Yeah, it's like, I assume you have stuff to do.
Yes.
I assume you are a sovereign person.
Right.
With your own will and your own goals, and if I am an obstacle,
Right, so if I am brushing my teeth and filling it with gunk, and then you are going to have to come in and scrub that gunk out, I may as well just quit my job, go live in a cave, and never be seen by
it would be better. It would be better to isolate in a cave.
So, because of that, I am therefore harshly judging anyone else that does it who may not think that. They're just thinking, I need to keep my teeth clean, I'm going to do it at work because I'm better than everyone.
They're narcissists.
Yeah. So, I have a problem with this person. I don't know... Well, actually, I later found out who they were. They don't sit in an office building. There are multiple offices within. They're not part of my group. They are another group, but I've seen them. And every time I see them, I just narrow my eyes a little bit. Like, I know about you.
Yeah. You know how I know you're the villain? Shifty eyes.
That's right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Well, that was my problem with people.
It's shared.
You know, we're living in a society.
Good.
All right. Now I have to look at the hit list because I don't know.
Oh,
what we're going on to
We're
next.
going. I have it right here.
Oh, look at that.
We're gonna babble on about.
Oh, we're gonna
5.
babble on about 5. Okay. Well, guess what, Tim? Why don't you call it? Roll the clip. Stinger. Stinger. Roll the stinger. So I have my notes. So, because it's such a dense show,
Yes.
I had notes that I worked off of when I was doing the show solo, and just, kind of jumping back and forth between looking at my screen with my notes and looking at camera and cutting away the clips to make it look as seamless as possible. And we'll be doing, obviously, some clips here because it's Babylon 5.
Yeah.
And it's worth showing.
They're just gonna float in the sky above us.
Yeah. We're gonna have Sky 5.
Sky, like the chopper in the sky for the trap.
Chopper 4?
Yeah, so I'm excited because now I get to babble on about 5 as well.
and we're starting on a very good episode.
Yes.
We're just picking up where we left off, so if you guys want to see the ramp up, go watch the stuff. We didn't take it down. But we're starting on episode 8, which is And the Sky Full of Stars.
Yeah. Now, what I will say is, I just hopped straight to this episode.
Yes.
And I did a rewatch post-surgery of Babylon 5 and got really fuzzy, so I'm going to have to catch up. But when you jump in, this feels very episode of the week.
It seems to be.
Yes.
It's just, there's some suspicious people on the station. There's a security guard who's on the take.
We're learning about a security guard named Benson.
Benson, yeah.
Not Benson from TV's Benson.
No.
But Benson,
Benson.
the security guard, so
Yes.
it's okay, it's going to be this one-off about this guy.
He's going to be corrupt, there's going to be some mob stuff, whatever. There's a seedy underbelly to Babylon 5.
Yeah.
Because it's realistic.
There's parts of the station that are incomplete. So
Yeah.
there's places for people to hide and do nefarious things.
Yeah.
So I was very excited. I don't want to jump ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But I was very excited that my expectations were shattered like dinner plates.
Yes, they were.
And we moved directly into
into
a mythos episode.
Yes. So I sort of in my head there's character background, character building episodes because these characters are very deep, very interesting. There's meta story, so obviously moving forward, what the big conflict that's coming that we only get glimpses of in season 1. Then, of course, there is the Earth-Minbari War.
Yeah, which is like this big mystery. It gets talked about a lot.
Huge mystery.
And it's strange that humans and Minbari are very close allies now.
Yes, and it's not entirely clear why the superior force suddenly stopped. And why Sinclair went missing for a while. And there's some overlap and some tie-in there, and really cool stuff that gets revealed in later seasons. But yeah, this episode just dives into these dudes. They, in the credits, are referred to as Night 1 and Night 2.
Yeah, one of them is Judson Scott.
Yeah.
Is that the name? Yes, Judson's.
Yeah.
So he was the number 3 in Wrath of Khan. I don't say number 2 because number 2 was Khan's cleavage.
Right.
But number 3.
Ricardo Montalban's cleavage,
Yes.
sir.
But number 3 was Judson Scott. So he was the guy with the hair who would question Khan and provide advice.
I think the character's name was Joaquin.
Yeah, something like that.
He's one of the superhumans.
He later had a role in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
He did.
I think
he was
in
also
Voyager as well.
in Briscoe County Jr.
Okay.
You look up stuff we love, and he's got roles in all of it.
Yes, but you see the guy. It's like that's the guy from the Thing.
Oh, I think maybe even been in V.
Yes, he was in V. Yes, which we're going to talk about possibly next week.
Yeah,
next time.
Next time.
Yes.
Yeah. So Night 1 and Night 2. But I sort of what did I refer to them as? I had a different thought for them. If I can find it.
Was the first one not someone and not someone? Because the guy looks so much like another guy.
He does. Yeah. He looks like
I'm old, so I blank on both.
I should know his name. It's very distressing.
Yeah, but that guy from that Thing.
Yeah. So one of them I call them the Inquisitor and the Watcher.
Oh, okay.
Because one actually is the one interrogating him in his mind. The other one's watching from outside. So spoilers. They go into Sinclair's mind and try to figure out what secret he's keeping. Little they know, it's a secret being kept from him as well. Like, he does not remember what happened to him. He's starting to get flashes of it, but he does not remember.
Well, wait till we jump to the... Are we jumping to what they place him inside?
Well, before they did that, we did get...
There's a great line.
Yes, there was.
So 90s.
But we did get a little background on Franklin that was kind of cool. We find out that before he was a full-time doctor at... Dr. Franklin, at Babylon 5, he sort of hitchhiked. Yeah. So he hopped around on spaceships, he wanted to see the universe. And he was building up notes as a xenobiologist, and Earth Force wanted those notes to use them to build a biological weapon against the Minbari, and he destroyed his notes. So he is a good man.
Nice.
Dr. Franklin, good man.
Yes, we like Dr. Franklin.
We do. We do indeed.
He's a good character.
Yes. Well, they're
all good characters, but he's a good...
Tell me the bad character in seasons 1 through 4.
Yeah. I can't.
No, it's Byron in season 5.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the device. So he gets it into an apparatus that...
Yeah, so what did he call it? It was a... Because I watched the episode 2 weeks ago. It was like, what is it? It's a virtual reality neural web or something like...
Really, it was just...
A virtual reality cybernet.
Buzzword.
Yeah. And I laughed out loud.
Yeah, and of course you'd increase the intensity, because...
Always increase
the intensity because it's not going to work at the manufacturer's level.
Right.
You have to go above the factory, warranty voiding level.
Right. But what it's doing is it's placing Sinclair back in these moments to try to, I guess, trigger the memories that were being suppressed.
Right.
As what happened. So he and his crew are out flying.
Right. It's the Battle of the Line, which is the final battle of the Earth Minbari War. The line is literally a line of spaceships between Earth and the Minbari. It's like this is it.
Yep.
Like when we fail, humanity's done.
Yeah. So there we've got the Minbari star cruisers and fighters, and then we just have the Earth fighters.
Yes. At that point, I guess Earth Force's cruisers had just been wiped out. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not entirely clear, or maybe it was a budget thing and they didn't want to put them in the effects budget for that episode.
Right.
But
it don't look great. And
No.
and we're getting the impression at first that they're upset about people that were killed under Sinclair's command.
Right. It almost seems like, maybe this is a family member or loved one trying to get revenge for him allowing his entire squadron to die.
Yes.
And then we see in his mind, which it's not the first time, I think in the pilot or maybe in a previous episode, we see that Sinclair is just like, you know what, ramming speed. He's like, all I got. Mm-hmm. So he just, he looks at what seems to be the lead ship.
And at this point, I believe all of his, all the wings on either side have all been destroyed.
Yeah.
So
and he's just like, screw it,
I
got nothing left, all my buddies are dead, let's maybe take these guys with us. Mm-hmm. Even then, it's foolish, because you're not going to save Earth.
Yeah.
You might, you're just going to give the Minbari a black eye. Mm-hmm. But only one commander ever really did that, but he comes up later. Season 2. Now follow that man into combat. No, Captain, my Captain. So he tries to ram the ship, at which point some sort of tractor beam captures it. He gets brought inside, and all sorts of weirdness happens. He sees the Great Council, who are all these robed figures. I don't know how much they reveal this early on, but the Great Council is made up of three members of the 3 different castes. So there's the worker, the religious, and the warrior.
Yeah, they delve into that.
Power.
They delve into that later, but they're...
So it's 3 of each to keep it balanced.
Yep.
So that way no one group has dominion over the others. Obviously the warrior caste want to keep the war going. But then the religious caste use this magical shiny triangle thing. It lights up on Sinclair. They're like, oh crap.
Yeah, something has happened.
Something unexpected has happened, and they cannot continue this war. Mm-hmm. And then they wipe his memory of it.
Yeah.
But
not before...
Not before we reveal Setai Delenn.
Yes. So one of the hooded figures removes their hood to reveal that it is, if you can see it in...
If you can see Delenn behind me.
I think her head is just cut off.
She's there, I promise.
Yeah, so that's kind of a big shock, because it's, I would say, a confidant of Sinclair's.
Right, and we did learn in an episode or 2 ago, when Lanier is introduced, he refers to her as Setai, so we know that she's a high-ranking member, but we're learning more and more what that means. And she's not a Lily ambassador. She's
Yeah.
one of the 9 most powerful Minbaris in the universe.
Yeah. So what's she doing on Babylon 5? Why is she so close with Sinclair?
And it raises a lot of
Yes.
suspicions.
Yeah.
So, and as Sinclair's memories start reawakening, so when he gets out, he kind of goes a little loopy, little violent, and Delenna's able to talk him down and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, but he comes. But what I loved is that he's keeping it close to the vest.
Yes, very close. Yeah,
He's not revealing that he knows.
Yes.
That he saw her and that she was present.
Right, because he doesn't know if she's friend or foe at this point.
Yeah.
And he is no one's fool.
Yep.
Sinclair is a very good commander, very, very smart, very capable, and he doesn't...
And I guess we should mention that Garibaldi was able to help track down by following the trail.
By following Benson, and who was killed, of course, because you don't get away with anything in Babylon 5.
No, you really don't.
You really don't. It's a show. What I love about it is... Because, obviously we both love Star Trek.
Yep.
And Trek and Next Generation were both very idyllic versions of humanity's future, and we've outgrown some of our tendencies. No.
Yep.
Nope. Yeah. Human nature still exists in Babylon 5.
Yes.
And, consequences are real.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. But it was just a great episode, because, as I said, going in expecting episode of the week, maybe... Yeah. How often is my phone going to pop up as I'm just getting the plot, and I'm like, oh, man, this is a good one.
Right, yeah, and I'm really all in. Yeah.
This is great. Absolutely great. And I'm very excited to find out what happens next because, again, memory, a little foggy on the show. Yeah. So I almost get to watch it for the first time again.
Right. I rewatched it. So there was a window where it was streaming, and I caught it then. Mm-hmm. And then it disappeared from streaming, so then I bought the Blu-rays, and then it immediately came back to streaming.
Yeah, so I saw it as it aired, and then I got the whole thing streaming on Vudu, Fandango, whatever. But was, as I mentioned, watching it post-surgery, so I was not picking it up.
I probably rewatched it more than you, because Dad had the DVDs. Mm-hmm. So when I was living with him, after you had already moved out, I probably went through the DVD sets while you didn't.
I did not. So I had like a freaking, 20-year gap until I watched it again. But and then I didn't retain much because I was kind of in and out of being awake.
Right.
Just something on 24 hours a day, basically.
Yeah, so. No, I get that. Yeah, post-surgery, healing up, you're going to...
Yep.
Well, it'll be fodder for another episode, but watching every Tremors movie in a row, that was fun.
I still have to do that. I've only seen the first one.
Yeah, there's some really good ones in there.
Yeah, I'll need to see them.
And there's some other ones.
Any closing thoughts?
Obviously, please watch Babylon 5. It's
do yourself the favor.
Yes, it's a little cheesy in the effects side. It shows its age, but my gosh, once you get a few episodes in, the story, the characters, the acting, it all just... It gets good and keeps getting better and better. Yeah,
you can commonly get the Blu-ray set around $75. It often goes on sale down to like $50.
Right, and it's on Prime right now.
Oh yeah, streaming on Prime.
I don't know for how long. You never really know anymore.
And when I got the set on Vudu, I think I paid like $30 for it. So that's...
Which is now Fandango at home. You just
whatever. I still call it Vudu.
Me too.
This is what it was for so long today. I hate when things change.
Things should never change.
Well, not all things. Some changes.
No, everything should stay exactly the same all the time. Freeze.
Our next segment, as listed on my note card, is Last Century Today.
Did we make a stinger for that yet?
I made a stinger for it. I'm probably going to remake it. We'll show. I'm not going to before this airs.
Right.
But we'll show that one. But I'm going to hopefully fix it up. So here, enjoy
Last Century.
Last Century Today. All right. Since we took our break, when did we last film? Like November?
Yeah, it was close to Thanksgiving.
And as we film now, it is the beginning of March.
It is.
That's a decent gap.
Yeah, we missed 3 solid months.
So what I wanted to do for Last Century Today, this segment will just be talking all things 80s and 90s.
Right, and I believe when we talked about this as a concept, we're like, well, this can be where we surprise one another with stuff.
Yes,
because that we had to abandon that format. It was fun, but in order to do a long format podcast, we actually have to be able to,
exactly
know what we're walking into.
When we filmed our test episode that has never aired,
Right.
What you did is you came in with a bag of goodies, and we just started. You whipped them out, and we started talking. Some are back there right now.
My Lieutenant Marsh's exo frame is back there. Yeah. The GI Joe,
the
a couple other things.
Yeah. X-Men.
Yep. The aerator. So yeah, that was sort of how we figured out if we could just vamp.
Yeah. And it totally worked.
Which is called speaking extemporaneously.
That's like a $5 word.
It's annoying because I try to remember that word. We're like, oh, there's a fancy word for talking off the cuff. What is it? So I'm like, it's extemporaneously. Remember it. You'll sound smart.
You do sound smart.
Thank you.
So what I'd like to do is just bring out my retro hauls. I'm going to just stick to video games.
Okay. And I'm going to talk extemporaneously about what you reveal.
All right. So we'll just get right to it.
Sweet. I'm excited.
So the first item is actually a gift I received for Christmas. The original Game Boy.
Oh, that thing is so awesome.
Fully functioning.
No way.
It has Tetris loaded, or as I call it, as I play it nightly, stack and blocking.
Stack and blocking.
My highest score so far is 155 because it gets so fast it's hard to keep up. And the battery for the cartridge has expired, so my high scores don't stay.
Oh.
So I can't.
You're not going to open her up and...
I might because of how often I play it.
Yeah.
But in addition to stack and blocking, I also have Donkey Kong Land 2.
Oh, wow.
So
that's after Country.
This is after Country. Let me talk about Mario first. So I have the original Super Mario Land. There.
Oh, yeah, man.
So this game... Tetris was the pack-in for the Game Boy. And there's a great movie, if you ever have Apple TV, whatever it is. There's the movie Tetris.
Yes.
And it explains the story of the guy who worked for, I guess it was Bulletproof Software, or well, that's who had Tetris. Maybe that's who he worked for. But anyway, it was trying to get Tetris from the Russians to be the pack-in game.
Yes.
Because the folks at Nintendo had figured out, hey, the kids are going to get Mario.
Yeah.
But we want not just kids to have the Game Boy.
Right.
We want to market this to adults too. Play Tetris on your commute.
Yeah.
Whatever. And it's, I mean, I do play Tetris almost every night. Yeah, you can even fire it up if you want to.
It's just the sensation of holding... I have not had a classic Game Boy in... I don't even... Oh, man.
Yeah. And the volume knob's a little sticky on the right, but it does go up. But
Dot Matrix with stereo sound.
Yeah, and by the way, so I got this for Christmas, so we were 2 months out, still the same set of batteries, and I play it almost daily. So that was a great selling point. Yes, you have a 4-color monochrome screen, no backlighting, so it's very difficult to see without a light behind you. However, hours and hours, I guess they marketed at 16 hours of battery life. I think it's been more than that.
Okay, I will just play that all episode if I don't put it down right now.
So the Mario game, Mario Land, that came out with it, very reminiscent of the original Mario Brothers.
There were fire flowers.
Yeah, but it was also very primitive.
Yes.
And it seemed at the time you weren't going to get much more out of the Game Boy, but if you play a game like Donkey Kong Land, it has the full motion sprites that we're very familiar with.
Right.
Obviously dialed back
significantly,
but technologically,
pushing the limits of what they could do. And that was before. I guess was that a Game Boy Color title as well? Or?
I believe yes.
Then of course we went on to Game Boy Advance and other iterations.
Yeah, but
Game Boy Advance is probably the one I played the most.
But it's just so fascinating because I watched the movie about the Game Boy and Tetris and how much programming work went into. I think they talked about it. Maybe I watched it on a YouTube video for Mario, and it seemed like that was going to be the limitation of the system, and then they just push it beyond all boundaries. So it's just fascinating to me that such a primitive device is capable of so much.
Yeah, that is interesting.
All video games need to be as fun. They don't have to be flashy.
No, they
just have
to be fun is all that's required.
They don't need to be walking simulators. They don't need to be stories. You don't need to put in modern day politics. You just have to make a fun game.
Just make it fun.
Getting off my soapbox and continuing. The next item that I picked up down at our retro shop, just because we talked about it, haven't played it yet.
Oh yeah,
Skate or Die for the original
2 options.
NES.
I'm gonna skate.
I will absolutely skate. I die skating.
I have to help raise my children, so I'm gonna skate, not die.
I will skate then die because I just don't. I'm not gifted with balance to begin with, or much motor skill. I'm not exactly what you call slender
or intelligent.
I would wear a helmet, so maybe I'd live.
Yeah, maybe.
But maybe I wish that I would die. Yeah. But yeah, I saw this. It was $8? I'm like, yeah, I got to get this. We talked about this in the previous episode. And just gotta let's see. The next thing I got, same time I got this, I already have the cartridge, but
is this one of the reprints?
This is an original manual.
Wow.
For Super Star Wars.
Yeah.
Super Star Wars is a notoriously difficult but incredibly fun video game for the Super Nintendo.
Yep. And every once in a while, if you die in that game, you might get resurrected from a use the Force.
Use the Force. Yeah. But yeah, so I just saw this and I'm like, okay, I already have the cartridge.
Yeah.
Now I've got this. I just got to find the box. I was looking on eBay. The box is like $45. But if you go complete in box, it's great because it's nostalgic. It's nice to have. And if ever I have to sell things down the line, it's worth more money. Speaking of complete in box,
oh man,
I did pick this up. I'm not proud of it, but it was complete in box, and I was like, "It's complete in box. It's $25."
Is this when you went up to the one in Pennsylvania?
No, this one was from our local retro. Now, Revolution X. Now, this is not what I would call a good game.
No,
but this is a significant game from our childhood. Man. So this is an arcade shooter that was ported to the Super Nintendo. Now, the arcade shooter was a lot of fun. You had, you had
the gun.
You're shooting your compact discs at enemies that are trying to or have kidnapped Aerosmith, and then you have to go.
Right. Were they the New World Order? Was that the
Yes,
villain?
I believe that's what they were.
Yeah.
I believe that's what they were. So we actually had the arcade machine at the theater. I wanted to keep this nearby because, let me just highlight that we lived right around Cha.
Yeah.
And said arcade or theater was
there.
Right Cha.
Like, it was, I actually looked because the kids were wondering, it was 1/2 mile to the movie theater from our house.
Yeah, so we live in a very
spread out, used to be farm country, and there's been some development, so not a very walkable community.
Right, but you look at the neighborhood we grew up in, and this is probably like 50 houses. In our neighborhoods, this is probably going to be like 20 houses or less.
Maybe less.
So it's just, we were used to very dense, more urban areas growing up. But anyway, we would just go down this street, cross right here at the crosswalk, and then just cut through the shopping center, and there we are at the arcade.
Yep.
Within the theater in less than 10 minutes.
Yep. And that was the closest arcade. Not the only one, because of course there was the Time Out in the mall, which was just another 1/2 mile. Maybe 3/4.
But many a quarter went into this machine because it was probably the most fun one that was there.
It's up there. Killer Instinct was there.
Killer Instinct was the other one. But yeah, so I saw this and just had a lot of nostalgia. I don't know that I ever played the Super Nintendo port. We might have rented it.
I don't know. I only remember the arcade. I don't remember the port.
Yeah.
I knew it existed, but I don't remember playing it.
Yeah, but I remember the arcade game. My understanding and recollection was that it was programmed to be a quarter hog.
Yeah.
So there's just really no way to not take damage.
No, you can't like shoot the things out of the air the way you can in some of the other similar
games. Because that's the way these shooters would work. Is stuff would come at you, and you would have to shoot.
If you've seen Wayne's World,
Xantar is a gelatinous cube that eats warriors in a medieval village, and every time it eats a chieftain, you ascend to a higher level. The beauty part is you can't get to the next level, so the kids keep coughing up quarters.
When they talk about how you just can't get to level 2,
right?
It's like that.
Yeah. But again, complete in box, $25. Maybe one day it becomes.
Was that Brian Doyle Murray?
It was Brian Doyle.
I was watching The Middle last night, and he was they went back to the auto dealership in like season 5 or 6. Like she was like she went to the wrong job. Like she was on her way to work and running late, and she just showed up at the dealership, and she was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah. Come bust a move where the games are played. It's hip, it's chill, it's Noah's Arcade. Okay.
Yeah. So on the Super Nintendo note, when we did the first Super Nintendo,
yes,
and we did the fun size for that, and I brought up Chrono Trigger. Have you looked at how much that goes for?
It's hundreds.
Okay, no box, no manual, just loose. $250.
It's a crying shame.
So now my mission in life is like go to every yard sale and flea market and hope.
Yeah.
Like just hope. Maybe these folks will have it, not know what it is, and I'll get it for like $10.
It would be awesome. Yeah.
I cannot do $250.
No.
I can't.
Yeah, but then you have to do the math. gets more and more rare, therefore more and more valuable.
Yeah.
If it's $250 now, maybe it's $500.
I mean, if it was $250 in-box complete, I could at least see hanging on to it to have it accrue value.
Yeah.
But
one of these days we're going to have to make a trip to Ohio because there are so many retro game stores there.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we could do it. We could probably do it in a day or an overnight.
Well, I just went to Nashville for the first time ever, and I sent you some shots of that arcade I went to. Mm-hmm. It was every pinball machine in the universe. So it was a cool setup. It was, I was there with a friend who has been to the Pinball Museum in Denver, and it's supposed to be like the greatest thing ever. He's like, there are more pinball machines here in Nashville at this place than there were at the Pinball Museum, and it was cool. Like there were tons of arcade cabinets, and they were free to play. But all the pinball was money.
Interesting. I would think it would be the other way because I would gravitate towards the arcade machines more than the pinball machines.
And they had 50 arcade cabinets and maybe 100 pinball machines. It was
I saw
it was stupid.
Like at least 15 in the one shot you sent me.
Yeah, there were so many. Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, I'm derailing a little bit as we do. But if you find yourself in Nashville, look up Barcades. I don't remember the name of the place, but there will be one that's very obviously amazing.
Yeah, you sent me that, and the first thing I thought was, man, that Sears hasn't been in our mall in a long time. It should be something.
Yeah, right.
But I'm not going to start a business in Maryland.
Having recently done so. No!
So, the last one. This is the haul that I got from the retro shop up in Pennsylvania that I was very excited. For the original PlayStation, the original Twisted Metal, and in the original long box.
Before you put that down, I gotta. Oh my
So it is complete.
Yeah.
It has the manual and the game.
Uh-huh.
I did try to play it. Man, when you have modern controls and go back to old controls, it's so gnarly.
Well, that's how I felt. So I got the remaster of Soul Reaver 1 and 2, which is one of my all-time favorite titles, and it's just so much harder to play. Like the camera controls, things just aren't fluid. I'm like, I'm used. It's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah. So I can play this on my PS3.
Okay.
It will still play PS1 games, but it does not recognize the dual analogs.
Of course not.
So you have to press a button to go forward.
Oh.
And it's square, not X.
Yeah.
It should be X, but it's square. And then I don't even remember what reverse was. Maybe it was O.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was triangle. And then the top triggers are to rotate your weapons, and then the bottom triggers are to fire them. Which I guess is that maybe I guess that's normal. But yeah, I got demolished. I don't know what I'm doing.
No, I haven't played Twisted Metal probably since maybe 2 or 3 came out. It's not a series that really lasted.
No, what was fun about this is PvP.
PvP, yeah.
So deathmatch. So in my band days, when we would play at the drummer's parents' house for practice, PlayStation was downstairs.
Some people could play PlayStation while other people could play pool. Yep. You had a pool table, as I recall.
So Twisted Metal 1 or 2, maybe. Was there a third on PlayStation? I don't even remember.
It's possible.
Regular rotation.
Yeah. That brought back to mind, there was a game that we played in the same era that was sort of reminiscent of Gauntlet, like 3/4 overhead, and you're going through, but it was like, guns and stuff.
That was loaded or reloaded or something like that?
That was fun. And like awesome. You powered up as you went, just like in Gauntlet, and
And lots of good gore splatter.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that game.
It just came flooding to mind seeing Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Because I think we had those about the same time.
We did, and then that might have been in the long box era, which was very brief. Eventually PlayStation went to the compact disc format. So finding these...
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's a neat find.
It was not as expensive as getting, say, a Nintendo or Super Nintendo complete in box, but still pretty. This is I think $60 or $70.
Yeah, but that's a neat little piece of history to have.
Yeah, and it's complete in box, so just hang on to it and see what happens in the future. So yeah, this is the retro stuff that I have collected in the couple of months since we last filmed.
Nice.
And I have some more stuff, but it doesn't fall into last century. It was actually this century.
Right.
So I'll save that for another time.
Yeah, I didn't really bring anything for this segment just because other than like a handful of comic book titles, didn't really get much retro stuff lately.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a comic theme one next time because we've got
some stuff. Yeah,
lots of comic books.
Some thoughts. I think I've lent you some of the graphic novels.
Dude, I still have you ready. I got the G.I. Joe omnibus.
Yeah.
So it's 50. The first 50
you took a photo of it. I was like, oh, that's the same size as the Rising Stars one I lent you that you didn't read.
Yeah, I'm like, I think I'm on issue 8.
Well, yeah. So the Punisher one you lent me. Just my schedule recently changed. So I'm getting up earlier and just like trying to read anything before bed. I'm like, and I'm gone. So I think I'm like 4 books in, and it's like, I don't know, 30, 40 books. I don't know. It's a big omnibus.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to keep up with the titles I'm actually actively subscribed to. So. But I believe, is this our final format?
This is our final, and this is going to be our last segment for every episode.
Yeah, so this, and this is not meant to be disrespectful, but we were trying to come up with a name for this. So having grown up in the Christian faith and still both being Christians, it's a big part of who we are and what matters to us. So we have our new segment called Holy Crap.
Holy crap!
I had 80s and 90s Christian parents.
And they were gonna show people that weren't even saved Terminator 2!
Who could it have been?
Saved!
Not at all sacrilegious.
No!
Totally legit.
Totally legit.
Above board.
Yeah. It's just crap in the way of stuff. Holy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when coming up with segment ideas, I had said, hey, in my personal time, I had reread the book of Job for the first time in a long time.
Right.
And I remember Job mostly Sunday school.
Right.
You get the little felt characters.
Yeah.
The Sunday school teacher tells the story of how Job was faithful.
Right.
Then the devil says, hey, God, do all these bad things and see if he's still faithful to you. And so the story is basically...
and that is all correct. That is all what happened.
It's all correct. But they leave out the entirety of what really happens in the book of Job.
Right.
Which we'll discuss.
Yeah.
But I was just like, remember, because the Bible stories get locked in.
Yeah.
Because they happen at a young time.
And now, as a non sequitur, is that because of the felt? Like, where else is felt used?
That is an excellent question. Did schools do that? We went to
were
private school.
Homeschool, private school, and then by the time we got to public school, way past...
You age out of felt by middle school.
By middle school, easily. Yeah.
So if you're not familiar, there'd be a felt board, and the characters have the little, not Velcro, but something
that adheres well to felt.
So they would just, as they're telling the story, I'm sure the teacher's guide says, put this piece up, then this piece up, and it's very interactive and fun for the kids.
Yeah.
It keeps us engaged, but it basically tells the story of how Job has everything.
Yeah.
He starts to lose things and remains faithful to God, and then in the end is restored.
Right.
And blessed beyond measure. Right.
Right.
So the theme for the young people is as you are being tested, as the devil's coming to get you, just remain faithful.
Remain faithful, you will be blessed.
Yeah. Which it's true.
Yeah.
It is true. It may not be fun. It may not be pleasant.
And it may not be blessed in the way that you want.
Yeah. But when I was reading it, I was like, oh, okay. So really, what's happening is Job is getting visited by like 3 of his townsmen friend people, and they're basically, is proselytizing the right word?
Yeah, they're basically like, hey, just tell us what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you're not a good man, clearly. God doesn't bless the wicked, and God doesn't smite the holy.
Right.
So, admit it.
Right.
Like, you suck.
They might have been the precursor to the Pharisees, very like...
Yeah.
By the book, and very little imagination, I guess you could say.
Right.
So I'm just reading this, I'm like, man, this is just like a bunch of people taking a man who's suffering, saying a bunch of stuff to him, and then him having to say a bunch of stuff back, and then just they get a little more pissy because of that, and then come back.
It's sort of like an argument on X.
Yeah.
Like they're S-posting to one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's Cat Turd versus Harry Sisson.
Yeah. Round 1, fight! I guess in this instance, Job is Cat Turd. Cheers, sir.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting because while you have all this going on, all that building up, I mean, you have 3 very different men with different outlooks, basically trying to be like, hey, God is holy, and therefore you suck. Mm-hmm. And Job is very intent on defending his own righteousness right up until the point where God shows up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Yeah, about that. Like, yeah. So while, yes, he is still blessed beyond measure, God still is like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he lost a lot. He lost many of his family.
Yeah.
Was it all of his children? I mean,
it sounds like it was all. I don't recall if his wife. It sounded like his wife was there to. I don't know. I went back through it to try to catch up in time for today's episode, but it was it's a lot of content.
Yeah, from when we discussed it, too much time has passed for it to be totally fresh.
It's not perfectly fresh. I'm in the Psalms now, I think. But
I went back. I'm redoing the Pentateuch because I realized I haven't reread these stories in a long time either.
Yeah.
But it stood out to me, but it also brings up the whole, I guess, the very troubling thing as a person of faith is how do you handle or how do you reconcile bad things happening versus a good and just God?
Right, and the obvious thing to those of us with faith is, well, bad exists because free will exists. Mm-hmm. Like, it's in order to create a universe where you can behave of your own volition, you are introducing the opportunity for evil.
Yeah.
And evil has consequences.
Yes, it does. So you understand when it, even if it's not in a story from the Bible, but even something maybe from real life, where it's like, I did everything right.
Right.
I followed your word, I did what you said, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, and it's particularly difficult when it's someone you love suffering.
Yeah.
Like, I know for me, like, it's much easier for me to suffer than it is to see my wife or my children suffer. 100%. Like, I would just lump it on me. I got this. I can take it. But when it's someone else, I'm like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, like, I've talked about my back surgery. I had years of very, very intense pain.
Yeah.
And it was sometimes bearable, a lot of times not. And I would say I probably never felt closer to God than I did during that time because the
suffering makes you go one of two directions.
It really does. And but I guess the phrase that I felt in my head is like there's blessing in this.
Yeah.
Jesus knows suffering better than any of us.
Yes, and to carry suffering is to be Christ-like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just, my prayer during that time was like, Lord, just meet me in my suffering because I know you understand.
So, as you know, but the viewers, unless they're people who are close to us, might not know, about a year and a half ago, I got shingles.
Oh, yeah.
And then with shingles, so it's like the bad lottery. So if you've had chickenpox, you have 1 in 3, I think it was, chance of getting shingles, but they don't suggest you get vaccinated for it until like 50 or something. So I was too young for a doctor to suggest. So I got shingles. If you get shingles, there's like, now you have like a 1 in 10 chance of getting nerve pain, which I got. And then when you get the nerve pain, you have a 1 in 100 chance of it being like 6 months to a year, which I got. Ugh. So I lost. But to your point, in that window of time, I felt closer to God than I do today. Mm-hmm. Just because suffering, again, you can either try to go run to Papa,
right,
or you can go, oh, woe is me, and the oh, woe is me will drive you into selfishness and further away from God and
yeah.
Whereas running toward Him, seeking His presence, praying, reading Scripture, worshiping. Yeah.
And I think that ultimately brings to the biggest struggle as Christians, especially Christians in America, is keeping that closeness and that relationship with God when things are going well. Because we have it so good. Even when things are bad here, they're better than pretty much everywhere else.
It's hard to take the Western Christian church, and I mean the capital C church, the body of Christ. Mm-hmm. It's hard to take it seriously.
Yeah.
Because when you look at like the underground church in China or places where there's severe religious persecution,
like in Africa,
the Middle East, those guys, it's life or death.
Yep.
Us, it's like, oh, some people might say a mean thing about us or call us backwards or what,
We're the only religion that can be mocked in anything without any consequence.
Right. Yeah. So it's hard to really take, like, you wonder, okay, it's not a charitable thing to wonder, but like, okay, all these people at this Sunday service like that or at this Bible study or whatever, it's like, if real persecution came tomorrow, would you be here?
Yeah. And that's a question I even ask myself.
Yeah.
And also, if real persecution came, like, what would my reaction be? What my instinct would be to keep my daughter and my wife safe.
Right.
So, yeah, it sends you down this...
It sends you down some really weird thought experiments that we're fortunate for us to live in a society where it is a thought experiment.
Yeah.
But for a lot of, maybe 50% of the world by land area, it's not a thought experience.
No.
It's or experiment. It's their real day to day. And yeah, like the West doesn't handle suffering well. I mean, you look at like what happened during the lockdowns and stuff like that. It's like, oh, well, a little bit of chaos was thrown in the mix and everyone lost their minds. Mm-hmm. So,
the Joker.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's. I definitely recommend if you're a believer, even if not, read the Book of Job. It's something to.
It's something to chew on.
It's more thoughtful than I remembered it being because of all of these very
and they're
theological discussions.
And they don't.
These guys.
Their arguments seem wise.
Yeah.
Until you're like, oh wait, no.
Well, that's the thing. I have fortunately have a study Bible.
Yeah.
So I can read the notes and get more context because at first I didn't realize that these guys were not being above board 100%.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So it's like, okay. But in full context, they're...
Right. And we today can still do that with our doctrinal differences. Mm-hmm. Like, go down your pet version of the faith and it's like, oh, yeah, maybe I am being a little too whatever. Yeah. So it's... But I think my big takeaway is even in that argument, even with all the back and forth, once God shows up, it doesn't even matter that Job was right.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what does that even matter? Like, where were you when I did this? Where were you when I did, like, how much weight are you giving to your own righteousness? Because to me, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it was big mic drop coming in.
It's just like, so even if I am, like, and that's a lesson that I think, as a believer, you really have to take to heart. Because you're going to encounter people who are in the wrong while you're in the right, and the better thing to be is loving than being right.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about this more in another Holy Crap.
Yeah.
We've both worked at a megachurch for a while, but I remember having a conversation with a coworker where we're talking about somebody else who was kind of struggling a bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't a gossipy conversation, but they had said, they're doing this, but that's not how I would. But they're just not at my level yet.
Right.
And then I'm like, I'm not here to confront. I was the IT guy.
Right, yeah.
But I just was thinking about it, like, oh, you're a level 50 Christian, and they're like level 20, they didn't beat the boss yet.
No, they haven't. No. They gotta go grind some XP and get ready.
But it's just, I think it's just a thought or a habit that people can get into.
Yeah.
Of assuming that you're right, assuming you know more.
Right, and you look at all the false teachings, all the false doctrines that have come out since Christ, and as people who, no offense to any Catholics watching, but as a Protestant, there was the Reformation, so clearly our fathers of our faith believe the Catholic Church was doing some stuff wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, if that can be an error for hundreds of years, we'd be pretty foolish to think that we don't have a couple of errors of our own.
Yeah.
Like, we may not have this all figured out yet.
Yes. I prefer to just assume that I'm completely retarded at all times.
Right.
That's a great way to live.
I assume the same about you. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Anytime.
Yeah.
That's the helmet.
Yeah, so don't get bundled up in your own righteousness, people.
Yeah. If God showed up, wouldn't matter how right you are.
Yeah.
So.
Or wrong.
Yeah.
Because he's God.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
And that's
good.
We're so smart.
Yeah.
We really said something.
Yeah. That's been Holy Crap.
Thanks for watching Holy Crap. We're at the end.
We made it.
We did it. This is our first episode of the new format.
Yeah.
What I'm With 2.0.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
We'll have a release schedule figured out. We'll broadcast it out there.
Absolutely. Go out and enjoy some stuff from the 90s.
Yeah.
It's way better than everything today.
Correct.
That's all I got.
Peace.
Later.